Free will versus determinism, butterfly effect versus destiny, time travel paradoxes, Schrodinger's cat, and even star-crossed lovers. Do I have your attention? Well then, let's talk about the German Netflix original series, Dark. Hey everyone, I'm Marianna, this is Impression Blend, and I have been looking forward to talking to all of you about this series since I first saw the first season back in 2018. Considering the ambitious concept Dark sets up in season 1 and the way it takes its viewers deeper into the maze in season 2, I decided to hold off on this discussion until the final third season so we could all have the complete picture in front of us and I could fully praise and recommend this series knowing they nailed the ending, which they did. More about that later. For those of you who haven't seen the show yet, here's a quick take on the premise. In a small German town, children are going missing, relationships are complicated, everyone has secrets, and the atmosphere is increasingly ominous. In fact, the very first episode of Dark opens with this quote by Albert Einstein: "The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." The quote sets the tone for the entire series, but it also tells us more about the story that we could ever imagine at that point. Time travel quickly enters the picture as this is a sci-fi mystery thriller, but let me assure you, the question of not where but when is only the tip of the iceberg. Dark is, simply put, a must-watch. The writing is excellent, the characters are flawed in the most human ways, the visuals are stunning, the twisted story is going to keep your mind occupied for days, and the quality is impressively consistent. In other words, oh my god, it's so good. Now, I am going to tell you a bit more about why I think this series is so amazing and why I believe this is one of the best series ever made. But talking about Dark with zero spoilers is very difficult and not a lot of fun. So here's the deal. There are going to be mild spoilers in this video. I am not going to spoil the ending. I am not going to talk about any of the big reveals that happen deeper into the series, but I am going to talk about some of what happens and about some of the themes. So if you don't want any spoilers, just take this as a series I highly recommend and give it a try as is. If I'm putting a rating on Dark, I would have to go with a 9 out of 10. It was very close to a 10 for me personally, just because of how much I connected to the themes. But if you are interested in the more specific reasons why I loved it so much and don't mind some mild spoilers, let me break it down for you. Dark is a very complex story, and the beauty of it is that you are solving a puzzle as you're watching it unfold. It can seem a bit intimidating as it involves multiple timelines, a huge cast of characters, and countless details for the viewers to put together. But believe me, if you're paying attention, you will not be lost. The intricacies of the story make it addicting to follow, and every time you think you've reached the center of the labyrinth, the writers lead you to a new, deeper level. And yes, lead you, because this is not the type of show that aims to confuse you and get you lost. It gives you the clues you need as you figure it out along with the characters. You go from missing children to time travel, then to temporal loops, then to trying to prevent the apocalypse, or maybe not because there's also a secret society involved, and you're not even halfway through season 2 at that point. But as if the immediate problems weren't enough, the series also keeps taking you further and further into the past just to show you how twisted and interlinked everything is.
Interlinked.
Whoever did the casting for Dark deserves every award possible, because to say that the casting here is perfect is just not enough. And I'm not even talking about the acting being good or the core cast being absolutely perfect for their roles, and those things are definitely true. What I'm talking about is how spot on the actors are at different points in time when it comes to the same characters. It's enough to make you think people behind the scenes might have invented time travel, because the actors actually look like the same person at different stages of life. How is this not the same person? This is just some new level of casting. I guess they did cheat a few times, hiring real life relatives to play the same character at different points in time, but the vast majority of the cast is not related in any way. To add to that, it's not just their look, it's their mannerisms and the unique way they speak that comes through in the performances to really make them feel like it's the same person. It's a fascinating thing to watch, and I have not seen anything like that on this scale in any other series or film. Dark lands itself somewhere between a miniseries and a traditional multi-season show. The 3-season structure is absolutely deliberate, just like so many elements of this series, and everything here serves the overall picture. The co-creators had a 3-season plan, knew where they wanted to take the story all along, and it shows. You will find small clues for season 3 back in season 1. You will find ideas and concepts developed throughout the entire series, and while the story certainly evolves into something bigger and bigger every season, the seeds for where it's headed are planted at the very start. What helps all of this is the cohesive vision of the show's co-creators, one of whom co-wrote every episode and the other directed every episode, which is something you would almost never encounter in a series. The 3 seasons, or the 3 cycles, if you will, are packed with twists and turns, all of which serve a purpose. Even the 3-season structure itself is no coincidence, considering how often the number 3 shows up within Dark. The Trinity nod as the recurring symbol, and the 33-year cycle, the 3 stages of many of the characters, and the 3... well, I'm gonna have to leave that one out because I said the spoilers will be mild. The point I'm trying to make here is that it is such a pleasure to watch a story this complex, know where it's headed from the very beginning, and lead the viewers instead of getting lost in subplots and unnecessary details. The 3-season length was the absolute perfect time to tell this story. At its core, Dark is about human behavior and human connection, and if you've been around my channel for a while, you know these are the themes that I always gravitate towards. What the creators are interested in exploring is why we as people do the things we do, even if they end up being awful things. Are we ultimately self-serving, or would we be willing to make sacrifices in favor of someone else's happiness? Could we be happy knowing that means other people aren't? Then, of course, there is a range of fascinating sci-fi ideas explored here. Time travel and the paradoxes that come with it. Mainly, we're dealing with the bootstrap paradox, also known as the causal loop, where events keep causing each other, making the point of origin impossible to determine. The series also addresses the grandfather paradox, the idea behind which is, if you went back in time to, say, kill your grandfather, wouldn't that stop you from being born and going back in time to do that in the first place? The series handles these things beautifully, and I absolutely loved that. There's also the debate of determinism versus free will that I mentioned in the beginning, and the question of whether or not small decisions can actually change things, or would a diverging path still end up leading to the same result. Finally, we have something that I am not going to name because it is a big spoiler. It is a huge twist at the end of season 2. But if you've seen the series, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and that whole concept is a big favorite of mine. All of this sci-fi goodness is intertwined with very human drama, with families, friendships, relationships, misunderstandings, tragedies, selfishness and selflessness, flaws of character, and good intentions backfiring in the worst ways. Just everything the way we like it. Now, I promised I'm not going to spoil the ending, and I am going to be keeping that promise. This part is going to be very vague and have more to do with the quality of the ending rather than the details, even though I am dying to talk about the ending, and I would love to know what you guys thought. I need your opinions on these final scenes and how the show wrapped it all up in the comments below. So please talk to me. Let me know what you thought. Just give a spoiler warning before you get into it, and let's discuss in the comments in details. To tell you the truth, there were a few moments throughout the show where I was getting worried if the writers actually would be able to wrap all of this up. Those are the moments when it seemed that dark was leading me further into the dark, which it was, and I didn't see how it could possibly bring all of the storylines and loops together in a cohesive way to a cohesive ending. And then it did. It has been a really long time since I've seen a series with this many storylines and details wrap up in a way that was satisfying but also not fan service. The ending is definitive, but not without some room for interpretation. It ties up loose ends without putting a neat bow on top, and it certainly delivers some winks to the audience. It's the type of ending you're going to want to discuss with whoever you can because there is so much to talk about. And what's interesting about it is that the person's worldview, who you're talking to, is going to directly affect how they saw the final episode in general and those last scenes in particular. This is the exact type of ending I love. It gives you most of the answers, but also challenges you to accept a level of ambiguity. It leaves you satisfied, but also thinking and questioning. And for a series like Dark, this ending is perfect. That's it for this video. Obviously, I loved the series, and if you're someone who hasn't seen it yet, I hope I convinced at least a few of you to give it a try because it really is something that is near and dear to my heart. Or if you're someone who just watched the first season or the first 2 seasons but never finished, I hope I gave you that final push to get caught up on the rest. I also think this series is perfect to rewatch. I actually rewatched it from the very beginning, right before season 3 came out, and I caught so many details I didn't notice the first time around. Knowing the overall story and the major plot points allowed me to pay attention to how, once again, deliberately structured everything is and how many references there are to fiction, other films, mythology, religion, and how much foreshadowing is done through all of these references. It's a very interesting series to revisit, and I'm very much looking forward to eventually binging all 3 seasons again. Let me know what you guys thought of Dark in the comments. I cannot wait to read all of your thoughts. You guys know I read every single comment I get, even though I am unable to reply to every single one. I do read them all, and they are very important to me. Thank you so much for watching this video, and special thank you to my patrons, and extra special thank you to the patrons whose names are on the screen right now. And I hope all of you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, follow me on social media, turn on YouTube notifications, all the good stuff that you already know to do. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye.